Sandy Stetson, and I'm a river ranger here in the United States Forest Service, Columbia River Gorge, National Scenic Area. And this is?
I am Casey Andrews, and I'm the Wild and Scenic River and Wilderness Coordinator here in the Columbia River Gorge National Scenic Area. And we're excited to bring you along today on one of our river patrols on the White Salmon Wild and Scenic River.
So Wild and Scenic Rivers are an amazing designation for our nation's most treasured riverways, and they are designated based on a series of elements that are called outstandingly remarkable values. So elements of the river that you may not find anywhere else in their natural habitat. One thing that all wild and scenic rivers share is that we try and protect the riparian habitat and vegetation to ensure that there isn't erosion along the shorelines, to make sure that there's enough shade over the river for fish species. That also helps us protect the water temperature, keeping it a nice cool habitat. But along wild and scenic rivers, and really any river that the Forest Service manages, we leave a buffer so that we can ensure protection of that vegetation. Along the White Salmon, it's 200 feet. It varies from river to river, but that allows at least a bit of a mitigation against erosion measures. See a lot more species that are dependent on that wet or moist habitat.
Okay.
So we'll see a lot of cedar trees. We get a lot more old growth. This river is exceptional in that it almost divides the geology and ecosystems of the Columbia River Gorge. On one side, you get a lot more of that western old growth, and as you move east from the river, you're going to see more of the shrub, steppe, and desert habitats. So it's really, really important to protect this vegetation, because if you just go up the canyon wall, it gets a lot drier. There's a lot less vegetation that you'll see. So one of the most difficult parts of the White Salmon Wild and Scenic River designation is that a large portion of the shoreline is privately owned, and the federal government has no regulatory power over privately owned land and the activities that transpire. That goes to the county and DNR. But one of the things that we try to do is talk with our local landowners so that they understand that along their shoreline, although we all want to have that clear view right up to the river, it's actually really beneficial to keep that riparian vegetation, right along the shoreline in place, because not only does it help protect the temperature of the water and erosion issues, it helps so that their land doesn't erode away. So one of the things that we try and talk to people about to try and join in and be part of the river steward community and leave that vegetation in place.
Wild and Scenic Rivers keep designating. We use ORVs, outstandingly remarkable values, to determine if they should be studied and become protected. Here, one of our ones on the White Salmon River is geology. You see a lot of cool gorge walls, and there's lava tubes from right from our local volcano up in Mount Alice. Woo! Yeah!
Wow.
There's a little friend of ours that lives in that nest back there. This is an old water pump cave. Settlers, like back in the day, had their own kind of hydrology thing going on here. It's obviously taken out now. It's a really cool cave to hang out in. Fish like to come into this eddy and chill. It's nice and cool and shady. And yeah, there's still some cables in the water that you can see. They're kind of out of play. What fish? What fish? Well, yeah, mainly steelhead, but we also got some salmon runs. We got chinook, some coho, and what did you say? We got spring chinook. On this lower section of the White Salmon, you can see cows, tons of deer, lots of waterfowl, and also there's clarets, this giant bald eagle. Some of the tributaries to the White Salmon are Rattlesnake, which is what we just passed back there. But there's also, it starts with like the boundary for the Wild and Scenic River starts with Gilmer, up by like the Flume Rapid, and then there's Trout Lake Creek up above. There's Buck Creek down below, and Spring Creek as well. Lots and lots of different tributaries.